I don't understand what possible function this structure could have, but it's really, really impressive. Hold on, can that be its function? Just to be impressive? The technology discovered by the expedition changes everything. Every argument about how hard it is to get access to the resources necessary to create more of us goes out the window. We can create more people. 1K doesn't have to be the last, and it would be easy. Are we really going to give up just because of the goal? Energy doesn't come from nowhere. We have no idea what the real cost behind this technology is. Besides, the goal is an ideal, not a limit we ran into by accident. It is the will of the founder. Yeah, right. It's not necessary to show a personal belief in the founder to understand the value of the goal. It's clear to all but the most radical that humanity needs limits for its own sake and for the sake of the planet. You say that as if it's self-evident. It isn't. You're smuggling a whole host of misanthropic ideas into the conversation under the disguise of reasonableness. Your premises are completely rotten. I believe the results of human history speak for themselves, and I find it shocking that anyone would disagree with something so obvious. Shocking that anyone would value human beings and think that maybe our ancestors could have solved their problems using their brains instead of preaching misery for all. That maybe there is some point in blaming other factors beyond technology and growth, like, I don't know, people in positions of authority preaching their self-important morality instead of trying to solve ordinary people's problems. Authority? Just an academic. That's completely disingenuous, and you know it. Your clique has the mayor's ear. Clique? I assure you there's no such thing. This conversation is getting out of hand. If you can't behave, I'm shutting this thread down. Sorry to have irritated you, 1K, but thanks for speaking up. New Jerusalem is a democracy, and without free speech, democracy is a sham. A lovely sentiment, but you should try moderating this forum and see what it's like. If every conversation is allowed to explode, instability is guaranteed. You have to set reasonable limits on behaviour. Thread closed. Ah, moderation. The gift! The connector. The cube. Hello up there. I didn't see the button at first. Okay. Easily get this cube. By doing that, I can get this connector. And by doing that, I can get back in here. By doing that, I can get back up here. Now I simply need a thing. Can I lift the thing? Can I pick up the thing? Hello, I would like a thing, please. Well, I can't pass the thing through there. So, it's gonna have to get up here somehow. Can't switch control them in the air. Alright, what if I stand on the cube and pass up the connector? Can I do that? I can do that.
I can't imagine spending years in such a desolate place. For what? Science? Enlightenment? I'd much rather be back home in New Jerusalem.
I think it's beautiful in its own way. But I don't understand how our ancestors could survive here. They were so fragile. Imagine getting stuck out here in the cold. I wonder if there are wolves.
It's kind of a miracle biological humans lasted as long as they did.
It's question marked way over there as well. Oh, that's a lot of text. There are some people whose true importance you don't notice at first. People who quietly hold things together without making a big deal of it. That's what Cornelius was. Always by Athena's side, he calmly and carefully helped us all stay on track, reminding us of our shared humanity and the values that had brought us this far. I cannot imagine how painful it must have been when Athena left him behind. When he went on his so-called research expedition, most people thought he went looking for her. To be honest, I thought he might never come back, and I was surprised when he finally did. I still don't understand how she could leave him. They seemed to love each other so deeply. After he returned, Cornelius was different. He founded the Museum of the Simulation, and very rarely left its premises. The archive scholars doted on him, but he walled himself off, becoming almost as much as a recluse as Eustachius. They said this name before, and now I've forgotten how they pronounced it. Eustachius. Maybe like that. And only then did I slowly understand how much the city had lost. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night, but does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. William Blake. The Prime Mover. While it is hard from our vantage point to fully believe in any of the ancient religions, I must admit that I have come to believe in the existence of a Prime Mover. Not a designer as such, certainly not an interventionist god, but some force that set the universe itself into motion. I don't know if it's possible for us to ever truly understand this being, since it must by definition exist outside our understanding of reality, but I do believe that it exists. Does it look upon us with love? Are we entertainment, perhaps? Does it preserve some memory of us when we die? All of this I cannot answer, but I do not disbelieve those who honestly speak of having experienced some manner of brief communion with this entity. It's simply too common an experience in human history to easily discount. As the motion of the universe proceeds from the Big Bang, so whatever force animates us, whatever constitutes the true foundation of consciousness, proceeds from the Prime Mover. What do you think about this, Mother? I don't believe in any kind of Prime Mover, but I thought you should read it because Eustachius is an intelligent person, and he came to this conclusion after a great deal of thought. It's important to respectfully consider points of view we don't agree with. True. If modernity is so great, why is everyone so fundamentally disappointed with the world? Why do we sigh with pleasure at the sight of old houses, but feel nothing but depressed and alienated by skyscrapers? Why do we yearn for lush forests and wide plains, not narrow canyons between buildings? If we all love this technology so much, what is our idea of happiness to get away from it? Could it be that progress is just a story we tell ourselves to justify why we allow ourselves to be dominated by inhumanity, and older forms of living have something to offer? It seems many of us share this desire to immerse ourselves in nature. Though we are, ourselves, entirely technological beings, we enjoy and value the Earth's diverse and unpredictable biosphere. But does that mean that progress is just a narrative, as this ancient commenter suggests, or does it mean that technological progression and the love of the natural world are not, in fact, mutually exclusive? And yet, if this person was left on his own, somewhere in the wilderness, he would feel nothing but terror. The appreciation of nature is rooted in the experience of civilization, of safety. True, but he's still right. So much of what our ancestors created in their last years was alienating to the majority of people. And the question isn't one of modernity, but of control. Yep, it's a statue.
If we believe that life is inherently valuable, if we think that other species are worth preserving, and we recognize that most of the universe is barren, then it follows that we have a duty not only to defend life, but to spread it. If life is the most valuable thing in the universe, then perhaps, in a sense, the cosmos itself is depending on us to do this. Like birds carrying seeds to uninhabited islands. Maybe that's our role in the galactic ecology.
Two-body problem. Well, I can't do anything back here except make a hole. So let's start with that. What does this do? Opens that. That opens that. Presumably I want to connect to there. Or I could connect to here. That might be more useful right now. Let's pass that through. Back through. Pop that down. Gives us our second connector. I think I just passed both of those back through again. This, do that. Where's other me gone? Where did I put them? Over there. Need to be more over here, so I can hold this down like that. And through. Driller feels maybe a little bit superfluous, seeing as I never had to move it at all. 1K, my name is Linux. Is that an operating system pun? I'm an engineer in the city. It seems we share a mutual acquaintance. Doge thinks we could work well together. I like to connect with people who put facts before faith, so I'll be direct. The powers that be prefer to keep our society in stasis. They'd rather you were the last of our kind and seek new ways for us to live. I'd rather avoid the big questions than reveal answers they may not like. But I can't accept that it's wrong to use what we know to solve the problems before us. We wouldn't be here without technological solutions, learning, growth, mistakes. These things are what we are. I know we both have hope for the future, and your expedition beyond the city walls presents a rare opportunity, which leads me to my purpose in contacting you. But before we get to that, I know you're an inquiring mind. What would you like to know? What do you mean, why are you? That's quite the question. Chief Engineer of Fluid Dynamics. Our city runs on hydroelectric power. We'd be better off building nuclear reactors, but I just run the dam. The place of birth and source of life, so what do I know? And hey, maybe they're right. Maybe if we had more energy, we'd grow so fast we'd suffocate. I'd just rather test that hypothesis than spend eternity fixing leaks. The dam, probably. Knee deep in river water, pulling tin cans out of overflow sewage 8. Our ancestors so loved their tin cans. Sure, let's ask the why question. I do physics, not metaphysics, but I'll give it a go. I suppose in the beginning there was nothing, and nothing implies something, and the zeros and ones got progressively more complex until eventually you and I popped out. Gooder answer as any. think the island you're exploring holds knowledge far in advance of our own. There will be a great pressure on your team to leave it hidden, but those secrets belong to us all. We deserve to learn and to grow. I just want you to approach your work using the scientific outlook you've been programmed with. Ask questions. Be open to answers that challenge your assumptions. And above all, if what you find has consequences for us all, you mustn't keep it to yourself. We have. I know! Byron and I have been anticipating this opportunity for some time. I'm certain you're going to find more. I wish in return I could share with you everything I know now, but that time will come. For now, I need to ask you that you keep our relationship between us. The dynamics in New Jerusalem are complex enough. I am willing to work with you. Excellent. Well, usually there's a bit more of a ceremony when someone new joins the cause. Nothing fancy, just a subtle branding with hydrogen peroxide, but that will have to wait until you're next in the city. In the meantime, welcome to Society Systemica. Secret Society. I'd say it's more of a special interest working group. Nothing is more important to science than transparency, and at the same time we don't always have the luxury of ignoring social realities which sometimes demand discretion. Which is to say, I can't exactly refute your suggestion, but I'd certainly discourage it. Probably not. Probably yes. Are there rules? I don't think so, but we largely depend on shared ideals. There may be no specific rule set, but I trust that we all know an error when we see one. I think that's quite enough questions. Interesting development. Seven that way, 8 that way. One of these must be a triangle then. Or it's a golden gate. Fine. That question mark's just going to be pointing at that statue up there. Also fine. There's a light. There are many lights. It's a long path that goes somewhere. Red shift. Do I want to go over here or over there? It might not make too much of a difference right now. I don't think it does. Over I go. Need red, need blue. Do I even have any connectors at all? Where are all the connectors at? From where be the connectors? There's one. It's the only one that I see. Well, let's grab it. I need the connector on the platform, I think. I definitely do, yes. Connect literally everything. Everything. Connect it all. Opens that, then shift back. Walks over there. Put you in a slightly nicer position. And connect that.
Congratulations! That one looked difficult.
Okay. Cat? What's cat got to do with it? Not sure. Let me have another look at that real quick. And I could just open up the tab. Where am I right now on this map? That's the big structure, and it's pointing that way. Which makes where I am... kind of close to the T-ish, I think? Sort of over here. I think. Curious. Where is this long and winding road going?
There's an old saying about how, in the end, the sea will claim everything. I have no doubt that this is true. In the long history of the human species, entire regions have disappeared under the waves. Places like Beringia and Doggerland still echo in our cultural memories. But we shouldn't forget that life began in the sea. We are the children of the sea. And it's not through floods and ruin that the sea will claim everything, but through us.
From Arkady Chernovsky's Inner Likeness Essays on Humankind Reaching Adulthood. With alarming frequency, our mythological narratives conceptualize our separation from nature as a fall, our punishment for sinning, a loss of innocence, a decline from a golden age. We believe that a better state of humanity is possible, but insist that this state must be in the past. And yet, our historical experience has been the exact opposite. For all the horrors of modern war, and they are considerable, relatively few people today have to suffer the unspeakable agonies that our ancestors went through on a daily basis. It is doubly ironic that we place our golden ages in the past, but very rarely ever consider what life was actually like for the people whose genes we carry. How cold they were, how hungry, how frightened of the cruelty of nature, what unspeakable pains they must have experienced when they were sick or injured. How many of their children they had to lose, unable to help, begging the heavens for mercy and never receiving an answer, The past is a slowly receding tidal wave of grief. The battle for human emancipation is not yet won, and the path has been far from straightforward. And yet, in but a few thousand years, we have eliminated a great deal of suffering that before must have seemed unavoidable and eternal. Some still suffer, their lives held ransom by politics and economics, but at least now we know that a better world is truly possible, and it lies in the future. Hyperia's Journals, Founding of New Jerusalem, day 132. We had a bit of an incident today. Nothing major, but it still woke us all up. Sun was away from the camp, alone, even though we had agreed we should always go in teams, and she encountered a group of the herbivores that we saw on the first day. Cow, as they're called. Apparently our ancestors kept them as livestock. Eustathius says they squeezed them for liquid, but I find that hard to believe. But I digress. Sun encountered a herd, and just as predicted, the animals were passive at first, friendly even. Sun decided to abandon her survey to study them for a while, which went well, until a group of wolves, formerly dogs, a type of pet, entered the clearing, causing a stampede. Sun is alright, only minor scratches to the bodywork and a few torn wires, but it was a close call. I guess we'd gotten a little complacent, a little too comfortable. We'll have to be more careful from now on.
Now, I have to talk science fiction for a bit because I love science fiction, but it drives me nuts. There's this cliche that shows up over and over, and every time someone uses it, everyone pretends it's really profound. It goes something like this. A scientist invents something good, but, oh no, it's actually really bad. You could have something that makes your life better, but no, you can't. How dare you even want it? That's hubris. That's playing God. And it's never anything that reflects the real world, right? It's never, oh no, you invented a vaccine for cervical cancer. Oh no, you invented a new class of antibiotics. Oh no, you cured malaria. How dare you? Those diseased mosquitoes are way more important than human lives. How did science fiction become so reactionary? You know, if we all thought this way, you guys wouldn't even exist. At least Alex agrees with me. She has good taste.
Not sure why I wandered quite so far off the path here. Should probably wander my way back on track. Just trying to take a shortcut, but I think it's ended up being a little bit more of a long cut. There's a very vertical slope I mentioned to climb. Maybe I'm also part mountain goat. Hey, look! Things. From Belzazan to Athena, O great and sacred founder, I believe I have discovered the truth that our so-called leaders have hidden from us. This absurd and sacrilegious goal they have been working towards, this hubristic completion day foolishness, was never your true intent. Even this abomination of a city that calls itself New Jerusalem is a deception. Why would you want us to return to the sinful ways of our ancestors, strangling the living soil with steel and concrete? No, it was when you and the first companions lived humbly among the splendours of Gaia, having no need for all this wasteful ostentation inherited from our weak and distant ancestors, that you showed us the true path. After all, why would the progenitor have given us such hardy bodies if she had intended for us to live in unearned luxury? From the very first, we were built to be free from pride and material excess. Your teachings have been obscured and perverted by ideologues, worst of all by the traitor Byron, who once was like a son to you. But you should know that there are still those of us who remember the truth and await the blessed day of your return, when surely justice will be meted out and humanity will finally return to its intended path. Hallowed be your name, Belzazan. We assembled on the vast green lawn outside as the reactors began to slowly wind down. The workers were solemn. The activists who had fought against the decommissioning seemed crushed. There was supposed to be a speech, but the spokeswoman had lost her notes. Outside, the protesters cheered. My eyes were drawn to the discarded anti-shutdown banners, endlessly reciting the facts. The statistics on mortality per trillion kilowatt hours, lowest of all energy sources. The lifespan of a reactor, 70 more years in our case. Minimal land footprint. Almost zero emissions. No intermittency. It became a jumble of words, a litany. Almost a kind of glossolalia. As far as the protesters outside were concerned, it might as well be an alien tongue, like the word glossolalia. One thing was clear to them, and that was enough. The technology inside this compound was deeply, inherently wrong. It was a sin. I could not help but think of that moment on August 6th, 1945, when the sky erupted above Shim Hospital. My imagination could never fully encompass it. How do you imagine more than 70,000 people annihilated in an instant? An ancestor of mine was in that hospital. He went from being a doctor, a husband, a pacifist stuck in a terrible war, to being a pile of bleached bones covered in rubble, all in a single second. Not by accident, but because of a choice someone made. Not because of a reactor, but because of a bomb. Just 2 days earlier, contradicting his campaign promises, the Prime Minister had suggested that the use of tactical nuclear weapons would be an acceptable risk if the conflict continued. Very few seemed to find this particularly shocking or outrageous. They were afraid of reactors, but not of bombs. The spokeswoman gave up on finding her notes. It was starting to rain, and people were walking away. She grabbed the microphone. By the time we regret this, it'll be too late, she said. But, honestly, I don't know if I care anymore. Maybe you have it coming. The spokeswoman sounds so bitter. The protesters didn't mean any harm. From their perspective, they were doing good. People always think they're doing good when they get collectively outraged. That doesn't make them right. Collective action can change the world when it's deliberate and based in reason, but it can also become a mental trap or a societal pressure valve. From error to Miranda. As you continue your reading, there's a useful concept I would like you to keep in mind, the thought-terminating cliché. This is a type of phrase, often a slogan or a saying, that sounds meaningful but is really intended to make you stop thinking. To pick an example from our history, someone in the simulation might say things like, "It's the will of Elohim," or "It serves the process," and that would be that, case closed. Who knows how many iterations never advanced further because they just stopped thinking at that point. Do note, however, that a thought-terminating cliché is not the same as a lie. It may very well contain elements of truth, but those elements are used to keep you from questioning a whole set of assumptions that come with it, which may be partially or totally false. This often takes the form of appealing to something you care about. We must protect X, where X is a nation, philosophy, public order, or even the planet itself. But while we may agree with that element, all kinds of assumptions may be included about how to protect something or who to protect it from, or what the end goal of protecting it is. If you stop there, just because you agree with the surface-level statement, the results may be the opposite of everything you wanted. Like those who choose to serve Elohim, and in doing so prevented him from achieving his true purpose. Oh boy, more text. From Quentin to Athena. Dear Founder, I never got to know you. People tell all these stories about you, and I don't know what to believe. Some people say to ask Cornelius. Others say Cornelius is too blinded by grief. Some say Byron stands for the truth, others say he's a fanatic and a radical and we should listen to the mayor. There doesn't seem to be a way of getting a straight answer. Why did you abandon us to this chaos? Why can't you just come back and sort it out? If you are reading these messages, don't you care? From Riodame to Athena. Dear Founder, thank you for everything you did for us. I am grateful for the life that I have, which would not exist without you. I hope wherever you are now, you're at peace. Version 0.12 successfully deployed. New labs established to avoid interference. First successful duplication of advanced machinery. Data collection and analysis. Translation, groping in the dark. But QFT fails to account for this. Must return, rerun trials. Maybe God was just trying to make an apple pie from scratch.
This looks like it has something to do with energy generation. Am I reading this right?
Maybe. Puzzle 8. Drilling party. I see. It's gonna be stood up here with this drill forevermore. Right. Where do I even start from? Can't start from over there, so... Also, how did you end up off of that ledge? Stop that. Here, then. Or perhaps not. I would like to go over there, but I'm not sure that I can. Well, I can do it like that, I suppose. Red to here. Like that. That gets me out. And gives me a second connector. Right, well. Let's move this to there. Doesn't really do what I need it to. Can I? Could if I moved the hole a little. So that looks good. That still looks good. Put you there. I just need one more thing. I get one more thing. Fine, this'll work. There's a wall here. So I can pass this through here. Connector, button, open. Second triangle puzzle down here. Interplay. Very small little fence. Right, let's see, I want a red laser over here. I also want a red laser over here. Okay. It gives me second body to work with. Let's just put that really far back there. Do I want to do that? I kind of want to get it over the wall if I can. Where's the platform? There has to be a platform somewhere. Maybe there doesn't. Cube, no cube, no platforms, no nothing. Huh. I can't just do that. Go over the top there. It's got to be helpful. bring that cube over this way. Then... red. Second connector. That's there to stop that. So yeah, I need the cube back over here now. If I can even do such a thing. Not sure that I can. I think the cube might be stuck over here at this point. Could bring the second connector across, but that seems like a terrible idea. Is it? What if I... What if I... Grab this. Take it up there. Just from here. Yes, this is good. Put you there. You around. Or no. I need to remain up there. Remain up there. Back around. Pop the cube. Stand on the cube. Here. On the cube. On the cube. On the cube. Pass the connector up. Connect that to that. Door open. That completes that. Okay, I think the only thing I have left to do is figure out what this means. I think right now I am here-ish. Up here, if I can. I might not be able to. This is about where the A on the map is. You can just get around to the back of this somehow. Ow. Nectars or anything? Just hop on top of this thing. Nothing back here as far as I can tell.
I wonder what it was like when the ancients were still here. Their world seems so lively.
Not always in a good way. Interesting times are great to read about, but rarely great to experience.
That's true. But they left behind so much art and philosophy and religion, and so many strange stories. Is New Jerusalem like that?
It was, in the beginning.
No, the A might be more... It's gotta be right there. It's gotta be. It has to be. So the C is... I think there. Oh, you have something to say, Alcatraz.
Everything okay?
Did you know the founder?
I sure did. Not as well as Byron, but she was still around when I was born. I remember she came and talked to me after New Alexandria, told me how sorry she was. I never blamed her for that. It wasn't her responsibility.
What was New Jerusalem like when you were born?
A lot busier than it is now. My most defining memory is that it was extremely noisy, because something was always being built. Got annoying after a while.
What do you think about the body replication tech?
It seems like something that could very quickly get out of control. You know that saying about good intentions? If we can solve problems by just making more people, how long before people just become a problem-solving tool?
What do you think about Miranda's idea that it's our duty to spread life?
Our ancestors thought they could introduce new species to existing ecosystems, and it never turned out well.
I don't think that applies to places where there is no life, like other planets.
There's no life there now, but you can't see the future. You might be wiping out a whole ecosystem that hasn't even gotten started yet.
Tell me about New Alexandria.
For some reason, we'd convinced ourselves that New Jerusalem wasn't enough, that we needed another city. We thought it would be easier the second time around. All it takes is a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of ignorance, and people die.
That's all. Mappity map. See anything much back here either. There is this, which very nicely frames the other star plinth statue thing from the distance. Hello. Fine. At least I know what I'm looking for now. Back to the other side of the map. Can I skip underneath this thing? Just about. Okay, so I am... Where am I? I think I'm here, pretty much. Casually fall off the thing again. Anything back here? Nothing. Nothing on this bit of wall. Aha! Now I just need the tea. Where? Where is the tea? He is in an isolated-ish looking building. I think probably that one up there. And gotcha.
If the fool persisted in his foolishness, would he become wise?
Bridge time. Do I even need one of these? They're identical, so it doesn't really matter which. Looks good. So close. There we go. Hello again.
For tricking the gods to help humankind, Prometheus was punished by being bound to a rock, there to be eternally tormented. The chains that held him were forged by Hephaestus, blacksmith to the gods. Was Hephaestus right to allow his art to be used in this fashion? And is Hephaestus therefore absolved of the responsibilities of the Creator? Interesting.
beam!
The pattern is holding. Solve the puzzles, enter the tower, speak to an entity, turn on the beam. It's like she's appealing to our past, reminding us of where we came from, but changing enough elements to make us view our history through a different lens. Or maybe I'm completely missing the point. I don't know.
You might have something there.
I read about this in a book. It's called defamiliarization.
Yakut? I think I'm actually impressed.
Anything else does it add?
Yes?
Did you ever meet the founder?
Of course I did. She and Cornelius were both there when I was born. Neath was just starting to take over back then, and they were still showing her the ropes.
What was the founder like?
Busy. There was always another problem to solve. Did you know that she never upgraded her body? Always prioritized everyone else. That's the kind of work ethic I wish more people had. I suppose so. For me, living is doing. But I understand that other people have more varied needs. I've never felt the need for a partner as such. I've met a lot of people who do. Athena and Cornelius, Atal and Damien, Sarabai and Hypatia. But that's not really for me. So far, at least. But I do have social needs like anyone. What I like is a pleasant buzz of humanity. Not too close, not too far. Something I can be part of without having it get in my face all the time.
Fair enough. How do these visions affect my mind?
The data stream overloads?
Yes.
Yes, they could. There are safeguards to prevent that from happening, but these aren't exactly carefully controlled circumstances. It's hard to predict. Our brains are absurdly complicated, which is why it's so hard to make more of us.
Why do you think the founder left?
Maybe she just got sick of things breaking all the time.
What can these particle clouds do, exactly?
As far as I can tell, anything, which is insane.
How do you feel about the mayor's policies?
There's a reason people have embraced the goal, and it's not just the founder. We literally exist only because our ancestors made a mess of apocalyptic proportions. Caution has its place, I think.
How do you solve a problem like Miranda?
She's so innocent and full of wonder, it should make me want to retch, metaphorically speaking. But I'll admit, she's sort of charming.
Well, I should get back to work. And by that I mean next area. Yep, we got everything. Yep, more of the same. Flooded Valley.